Welcome back to our channel. Guess what, family? Look, I can make my face big. There's only 6 kids in this classroom right now. So sad. So sad. That's all. I just needed to tell you my feelings. Okay, today we're doing law of cosines again, but with a different triangle situation. So last time we had the sandwich. We had side angle side, and we used the big old ginormous root to find a missing side. Well, today, they're giving us all of the sides. So if you look at our first triangle, we know every side length. In fact, if we wanted to, we could fill in little a, b, and c right now because we know them. So little a would be across from angle A, so that'd be 17. Side B is across from angle B, so that's 21. Side C is across from angle C, so that'd be 19. Which means today our task is to find all of the missing angles. So it's going to require 3 steps. Step number 1 is that we want to find the angle opposite of the longest side. So that means that we're finding the biggest angle first. We're going to find the biggest angle first. Then, after we find that angle, we are going to use the law of sines to find the smallest angle. So we find the biggest angle first, then we find the smallest angle, and then we just get to do 180 minus these 2 to get our final angle. Today requires just slightly more work than the last few times, so be prepared for that. Hi. Okay, so we're still using this big, ginormous formula. But the thing to notice is that we will have all of these numbers filled in, and we'll be missing the angle. Last time we were missing this number. Today we're missing this value. So we find our biggest side. That's going to be side 21, which means that we're going to find angle B first. So we find our longest side first. This looks different from last time because the first thing we write down now is that side squared. So we have 21 squared. That equals, and then we're just going to use shortcuts like last time. We're not going to focus on our formula. We're just going to focus on what we know we need to do. So if we have this number written down on the left-hand side, then what we write down next is 17 squared plus 19 squared minus 2 times those same sides. So we talked about that last time. So we take the other 2 sides that we know, square them, and then minus 2 times those same sides. And the 2 is the same every time. That 2 comes from the formula. So now we write cosine. And then if we forgot, we're finding angle B. We circled it over here. Our next step is to square these numbers. So we're going to simplify all of these numbers. So I'm going to change 21 squared into 441. Then I'm going to add these two squared. So I'll highlight that. The next thing that you want to do is plug those into Desmos as 17 squared plus 19 squared. So that gives us 650. Minus, and that minus is always, this part will always be a minus. Just looking for my other highlighter colors. Okay. Then we want to plug in 2 times 17 times 19. So 2 times 17 times 19 is 646. Then don't forget your cosine B. So now we have 3 fairly large numbers. We have 441, 650, 646, and I'm highlighting them so that if you refer back to this, you know where I got each number. Okay, well, if we're going to solve this equation, he is like a different looking girlfriend equation, but it is a girlfriend equation. So this is what we're solving for. We're solving for B, which means 646 is the girlfriend, so we have to get rid of 650 first. So we're going to write it as this: 441 subtract 650 equals negative 646 cosine B. So I moved this 650 to the other side of the equation. Then we would get rid of the girlfriend. So we would divide this by negative 646 and divide this by negative 646. This goes away, and what I'm noticing over here is that I have to find cosine B. I have to get rid of that cosine. So the way that we get rid of the cosine is to do inverse cosine. So we can say capital B is equal to the inverse cosine. So I'm getting this inverse cosine from this because I'm trying to pull that cosine off of the B. Then in Desmos, what I would plug in is a big fraction that says 441 minus 650 all over negative 646. So this is what we plug into Desmos. So I'll flip there. We're going to hit that function button in Desmos. We hit cosine inverse and then hit your backslash immediately. So we're going to type in 441 minus 650, arrow down, type in negative 646. That gives us an angle measure of 71. So I'm going to come back to the doc viewer. So now I have B. You can fill it in the end or at the end, or you can fill it in as you go. So angle B is 71 degrees. We are going to be able to cut out these two steps in between, we're going to cut these out on the next two that we do because this pattern stays the same. And what I mean by that is the first number you write down will always be the first number in the fraction. The second number that you write down will always be the second number in the fraction. And then the third number is always the third or denominator in your fraction. These two things will always be subtraction. So in the numerator, it'll always be subtract, and in the denominator, you will always have a negative. So just knowing that there's a pattern to these will cut down the amount of work that you have to show in between by quite a bit. So that is step number 1. Step number 2 now is that we need to find the smallest angle. We need to find smallest angle. So that means we go to the smallest side left. So I circled the first thing that I found. So now I'm going to, between 17 and 19, I'm going to choose 17. So how do I solve for this? I'm going to write sine of the angle that I just found, 71, over the side length that matches it, and it's this first one that you wrote down. The first thing and the last thing match. Equals sine, well, I can't remember right now, but I know that I'm finding the angle that matches 17. Okay, so what letter would that be? 17 is across from A, so I am finding angle A. So this is the law of sines that we've been using for a few lessons now. So if I want to find A, I'm plugging in sine inverse of 17 sine 71 over 21. We round to the nearest whole. What are you guys getting? I haven't plugged it in, so one of you guys is going to need to plug it in. $50. So 50 degrees, it was 49.9. You can wait till the end, or you can go back here and now fill that in. So lastly then, angle C is 180 minus 50 minus 71. So our last angle is always the quickest. 180 minus 50 minus 71 gives us 59. So for these problems today, you do cosine inverse, sine inverse, then 180 minus. All right, let's try it again. But this time we're going to use that shortcut so that there's not so much writing in between. So we start with our longest side. That means we're going to start with 29 and use it to find angle B. How do I do that? Well, I plug it into the cosine formula. So cosine formula tells me I'm going to take the side that I just circled and square it. 29 squared equals. Then I'm going to square the two sides that are not circled. So 21 squared plus 13 squared minus 2 times those same sides, 21 and 13. Now this time I'm finding cosine B. So that's what I was finding last time too. So cosine B. And then because we've just started these, I may highlight it just so I can keep track. So I'm going to write this down first. I'm going to write this down second. And I'm going to write this down third. Where am I going to write those? In the fraction that I make to find B. So B is going to be the cosine inverse of 29 squared. I'm getting 841 minus 21 squared plus 13 squared. Yes, 610. Over 2 times 21 times 13, I'm getting 546. And it's negative. Somebody's going to want to double check me on those numbers. So I have my two negatives, and then I have my numbers written down in the order that I highlighted them above. Was it 546? Yeah. Great. Okay, you guys plug that into Desmos. $115. So we're gonna second that. I also got 115. So I know angle B now. I'm going to use that with side B, which was 29, to find the smallest side. So I'm now going to switch to sine. The sine of the angle that you just found, 115, over the very first thing that you wrote down to solve the problem, 29. That's its matching side. Equals, okay, of the two numbers that I have left, 13 is the smallest. So that's going to go in my bottom. 13 matches angle A, so that means we're doing sine A. Angle A then is sine inverse 13 sine 115 over 29. Uh-oh. It should be a positive number. Okay, so I'll check you. Sine inverse of 13 sine 115 over 29. I got 24. That was A, and A's matching side was 13. So now we can find angle C by just doing 180, subtract the two angles that we found. So 24 minus 115. So 180 minus 24 minus 115 is 41. That matches side length 21. So for each problem, cosine inverse, sine inverse, 180 minus. Let's do one more, and let's do one that's just the letters. So they're just giving us the letters. I'm going to flip back to either the blank page that has my tab. You can use a piece of scratch paper if you prefer, whatever works best for you. Side A is equal to 8. Side B is equal to 9. Side C is equal to 12. So let's just write those down first. Then I'm going to walk you through it. So step number 1, circle or underline or indicate somehow which side length you're going to use first. So take like 10 seconds to do that. Which side are we going to use first? About 5. So we are going to use side C because it is the longest side. Now see if you can remember how you plug that into the law of cosines. Give you like 60 seconds. Roughly 20. $10. Oh, 5. Okay, so I have 12 squared equals 8 squared plus 9 squared minus 2 times 8 times 9 cosine B. So I have the fraction set up here. Yes, it is C. You're right. I have the fraction set up to remind you where you're going to plug numbers into. So see if you know what numbers to plug into each box now. What? That's interesting. Roughly 20. $10. About 5. Okay, I have 144 minus 145 all over negative 144. Those are all like the same dang number. Did you guys already plug that in? Okay, I got 90. Is that what you guys got? Yes? Okay, so next up you do sine, law of sines. So see if you can set that up all in freeze in like 20 seconds. Seems like most of you guys are moving pretty fast. Remember, you find the smallest side next. In 10 seconds, I'll unfreeze for you to just double check. Okay, I got my stuff all messed up. Okay, we're finding angle A. That's the info we're using. I'm getting a really small number. I'm getting 2/3. Is this the ratio you guys set up? Sine 90 over 12 equals sine A over 8? Yeah? What'd you guys get? 40? Why is my, oh, because I didn't do sine inverse. 42? Okay. Hello, teacher, get a grip. I also got 42. So we found C, we found A, so our last step is B. 180 minus 42 minus 90. I'm hearing 48. Is that what you guys get? Okay, so just like on the previous quizzes, sorry, distance learners. Just like on our previous quizzes, I have a paper copy for you if you're in class. If you don't like to use the paper copy, that's fine. You're not required to. I just give it to you, one, because some of you guys like to leave, and two, I think it's helpful for you to show work when you're doing these. We're okay? It's 4 problems. It's 3 triangles. And then just one where they give you the numbers. Okay. I will publish it really quick.